So I just want to share with you my notes from day 2, which is Hebrews 8 through 13 that we just finished the reading for. So my notes on that is starting in chapter 9, verses 12 through 14, where they're talking about how the blood of animals can sanctify us back in the day. How much more can we possibly be redeemed because Christ has given his blood for us? It's the ultimate sacrifice. 10:10 is talking about how the sacrifice that Jesus Christ did is a once and for all sacrifice and will never have to be repeated because it was obviously a perfect sacrifice. Chapter 10, 12 through 14, I took away that Jesus did what he came to do, and then he sat at the right hand of God, and then he waited for God to fulfill his promise, which was mentioned in Hebrews 1:13, where God spoke about making his enemies a footstool. And so in these three verses, it actually talks about how Jesus did what he had to do. He came and sat at the right hand of God, which was one of the promises coming true. And then he patiently waited for that second part of that promise to come through, which kind of goes back to how we also should be, how do I put it? We should also be faithful in waiting for God to complete his promises, because if Jesus, who is perfect and knows, how God is, if he trusts that God is going to complete his promise, we should too. Because he is the ultimate, he is who we want to imitate. Moving on, chapter 10, verses 23 to 25. Which kind of goes back to this, right? He who is promised is faithful. We're talked about lifting one another up and gathering with others. So we should exhort others to do good works, the same as they should exhort us to do good works. And we should always look to gather with each other. For the longest time, I didn't think that going to church was necessarily important. I just thought that reading my Bible was enough. And it is enough, right? In the sense of me getting to know God. But it is also, I have noticed a big difference in going to church. I may not know a lot of people, but I feel so uplifted every time that I leave church that I wish church could be longer. And I think that this is a really good one. Hebrews 23, 24, and 25, when it says to not forsake gathering with others, because that's how we lift ourselves up. Next is chapter 12, verses 6 through 8, 10, and 11, where it's talking about how God disciplines us. And then it likens it to how a parent who most likely loves their child and wants to raise their child to be a decent, good human being, disciplines their child so that they follow in the right path. And so God, in the same way, loves us. And because he loves us and because he's a parent to us, and he also wants to raise us well in this world, then he also has to discipline us. And it does talk about how discipline can and will hurt on occasion, but that is such a temporary pain to have a good learning and understanding. So we learn our lesson, we adjust, and then we continue walking in a righteous path, right? So every now and then God is going to have to come in and, give us a little spanking. And sometimes we need that. I know that there are plenty of times where I've gone to church and I'm dealing with things and I feel like, our pastor is speaking directly to me, who gave him the video footage from my life? Because God is using him to speak to me, and that is the discipline that I am getting out of that. And I just have to take that. I have to take my hand slaps, and I just have to keep on going and adjust, and because I am learning my lesson. And then chapter 13:6. I really like this one, so I actually wrote it out, which is it's not that long, but it says, "The Lord is my helper, I will not fear. What can man do to me?" And so we know that men can do a lot. Kind is what I mean, not man specifically. But men can do a lot to us. But there's nothing that men can do that God will not reverse. He's the ultimate Una reverse. And so it doesn't matter what happened or what we go through or what mankind puts us through, because God has the power to make it as if it never happened. And so it doesn't matter. It genuinely doesn't matter what they do to us, because as long as we have faith in God, He will Uno reverse that and will be made whole again. We just have to trust and have faith that God is going to do that. 13:9, which I forgot to highlight, and then 13:6. So 13:9 says that we need to find our strength by grace, not by food. And I think that that's just important to remember. And 13:16 was very succinct and to the point. It told us we have to continue doing good and that we had to share the things that we had. So those are my pointers for today. But I want to take you to the Bible because I did a little bit of journaling. So this is the Crossway ESV version journaling study Bible. This one has a little bit of extra information. It's the same one I used yesterday. And so we did 18 through 13. And the ones that I drew was this one, the redemption through the blood of Christ. So if I can trace, you can trace. I just Googled an image of blood. There were several that came up. This is the one I liked. And I just traced it using my phone. And then just colored it in with these Crayola twistables. And then I wrote blood of Christ, because we are being redeemed through the blood of Christ. And this is the one where it says, once for all into the holy places, not by means of the blood of goats and calves, but by means of his own blood, thus securing an eternal redemption. For if the blood of goats and bulls and the sprinkling of defiled persons with the ashes of a heifer sanctify for the purification of the flesh, how much more will the blood of Christ, who through the eternal Spirit offered himself without blemish to God, purify our conscience from dead works to serve the living God? So I just kind of drew that out a little bit. Again, I just kind of highlighted using my Crayola twistables, the notes or the pointers that I took out. The next one I really liked this section. It was kind of hard to read because it was, it's got some of the old names in them. But this section is called By Faith, and it's chapter 11. And it's talking about, it's giving the example of so many witnesses that walked by faith. It talks about Abel, Enoch, Noah, Abraham, Sarah, Isaac, Jacob, Joseph, Moses, Rahab, Gideon, Barak, Samson, Jephthah, David, and Samuel are the ones that are mentioned in this chapter. And so I highlighted all the names, and then I wrote them all in this scroll. Which also included Hebrews 11 up here. This is really good because I wanted to do this mostly because I want to do character studies. And I actually have a book that is called Walk by Faith, and also another one that's called Imitate Their Faith. And it actually gives the stories of several of these and how they walked by faith and how we can imitate their faith. It was a book that I got from my parents a long time ago, and I've just never actually read it. But I have read portions of it, but it's time that I kind of sit down and read it because I want to do character studies on all of these. And again, I just traced it using my phone and a Micron 3 pen. And then I just colored everything in using my Crayola twistables. And then I believe that is the last one I did. That is the last little drawing that I did today. I only did 2. Not like yesterday I did 3. I did the double-edged sword, an anchor for my soul, and then crowned with glory and honor. And that is my Bible study for today, my little bumblebees. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll be happy to answer them. Have a nice night.